Welcome to this build and review of the KBDFans Tiger Lite. The Tiger Lite is the less expensive and ABS version of the now discontinued Tiger 80, which had aluminium or acrylic case options, which is customary with several of the KBDFans keyboards. It's a TKL layout keyboard, has a gasket mount, a polycarbonate plate, and a Hotswap PCB with RGB underglow. Note that there is no per key RGB or wireless connectivity with this keyboard. At $129 as a full kit, the Tiger Lite still sits in the entry-level price category. You can buy the ABS Tiger Lite case for just $25, which is a pretty clear indicator that you're paying for what's inside, although you do also get the carrying case included, which retails separately at $30. I'd prefer to see that gone on the price closer to $100. The KBDFans keyboard kits are not to be confused with the barebone keyboards you get from other companies. A KBDFans keyboard kit requires complete assembly and comes with all the parts in separate bags. Barebones come fully assembled just without switches or keycaps. If you've not built a kit, you might find the unboxing a little overwhelming, but don't let the mess of parts concern you. Ultimately, we just have the case, the daughterboard, the plate, the PCB and foams, the stabilizers in their individual parts, the gasket socks and the screws. So let's get into the build. For my build, I'm going quite high end as I know this is a nice keyboard, so I've chosen the Doom linear switches at around 70 cents a switch and a set of GMK modern Japanese Desko at 135 euros. So the best thing to do if you're new to the hobby is to stop looking at the kit as a mess of parts that need to be put together and break it down into the list of tasks that you need to do. It becomes much simpler that way. Task 1 is to prepare the switches. I recommend testing your chosen switches, lube one switch, lube and film a second switch, then install a stock switch, the lube switch and the lubed and film switch in a keyboard. Use the same test locations each time like the G, H and J positions and test all three switches in all locations to see which you prefer. I always lube the stems only, as lubing both the stems and housings often doesn't make much of a difference, but it takes twice as long to do. If the switch is rattly on the top out, this is usually fixed with switch films. But even if there is no top out rattle, I test them anyway, as I use switch films if there is a marked improvement in the sound. So task 2 is to prepare the stabilizers. The stabilizers on this one come in parts with no lubed, which is perfect for modding. The mods and lube job I opted for was a thin Holee mod on the short stabilizers using Scotch tape, as these are much less likely to rattle, and a thicker Holee mod on the spacebar using 0.15mm pour-on Holee mod stickers. Never go too thick with your Holee mod tape, as this often leads to losing the top out sound of the keystroke. My go-to lube job on stabilizers is Krytox 2050 on the stems and housings and dielectric grease on the wires. Task 3 is to prepare the case. All you need to do on this one is install the 4 adhesive feet onto the bottom of the keyboard and install the daughterboard using the 4 short black screws provided. Task 4 is to install and test the stabilizers. You must test them before moving on to assembly, otherwise you won't discover any issues until you're at the point where you need to disassemble to get them back out again. You need to use the shims provided on this one, as the PCB is 1.2mm thick and the stabilizers are designed for 1.6mm PCBs. Install the spacebar stabilizer first, next install the switch mat on the PCB, then install the rest of the stabilizers. Don't forget to place the switch mat before installing the short stabilizers, as it can't be installed with the short stabilizers installed. Install a switch and keycap on each stabilizer and test them looking for rattle or jamming. If you've done the Holee mod and you have some rattle, this can likely be fixed later by syringe lubing, and jamming usually means that the stabilizer housing isn't landed fully on the PCB, so you need to check that. Task 5 is to assemble the module, which is the plate and PCB assembly, and I recommend using all the dampening provided with this keyboard. You need to stack up the module by placing the plate dampening pad on the PCB and placing the plate on top of that. This module is held together by switches only with no screws, which is usually the case with KBDFans keyboards, so you first just need to install a few switches to secure and align everything. Install a switch on each of the corners, one in the center and one in all the stabilizer sockets. Once you have these in and everything is lined up, go ahead and install the rest of the switches before installing the module in the case to prevent PCB damage. The final part of module assembly is to install the gasket socks on the plate. I did this before module assembly, but I recommend doing this after, as they'll just keep dropping off. Task 6 is to install the case dampening. The case dampening on this keyboard is actually stuck fast to the bottom of the PCB using the tape mod sheet provided. You can either run without anything under the PCB, you can do the tape mod sheet only, or you can use the dampening pad and the tape mod sheet. You can't run the dampening pad only as this is held in place with the tape mod sheet. Task 7 is to install the module in the case and secure it by assembling the case. You just hold the module up vertical above the case and plug in the daughter board to the PCB, then lay down the module in the case, making sure all the gaskets line up. Install the top case and check it's sandwiching the gasket socks in the correct place without pinching them, then flip the keyboard over and use the 10 screws provided to secure it. Then finally, task 8 is the installation of the keycaps, which is pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure you use the correct size shift keys and note that the spacebar on this one is 7 units, not the common 6.25 units. That's the build complete. Let's see how it sounds. So let's finish on my thoughts as usual. The Tiger Lite is probably the nicest typing keyboard in my collection. There's not much in the way of features, but it's very clear that they've instead chosen to focus on the typing experience. The gasket is plush with plenty of movement, which is fairly even across the keyboard. It just stiffens up a little on the bottom row where there is less space between the PCB and the case, but there is plenty of movement over the alphas where it really counts. You obviously don't use all this movement on the keystrokes when typing, but plenty of movement means the gasket isn't restricted. My build ended up with a lovely soft typing feel but with plenty of feedback and bottom out sound. The sound profile on my build ended up being quite creamy and thocky, which is mainly down to the switch mat and the case dampening pad stuck to the bottom of the PCB. The nice switches and keycaps that I use will have helped, but I have no doubt that you'll be able to get this sound profile from a well chosen set of budget switches and keycaps. With this being an ABS case with no weight means this one feels quite light in the hand, but as someone who likes a bit of weight to my keyboards, I can tell you that this doesn't put me off at all and I wouldn't change a thing about it. I can't recommend this one enough. $200 will build this one out very nicely and I've not found anything as good as this at the $200 price point all in. And that's it. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.